There it goes again. Another explosion.
Oh, look, a new blast. 11-11. Look at what's happening. I don't even know what just exploded now.
Right now, Ukraine's revenge. Hell at Russian airfields, the SBU hunting down Putin's aviation. Already minus 40 aircraft. Russians are screaming in panic. All of Russia is exploding.
There goes another one flying.
Where do you see it?
There it is flying by.
I see it, Anya. I see it. They're all heading for the airfield.
Look, that's where it's exploding. Right there. You can even see it burning. I wonder what that is. And another one just exploded.
A real apocalypse in Russia. The Ukrainian defense forces have done the impossible. These explosions can be seen from space. It is reported that the Security Service of Ukraine is conducting a large-scale special operation called WEB to destroy enemy bomber aircraft that attack Ukrainian cities every night.
This is what the Belya airfield looks like now. Strategic enemy aviation.
It is known that more than 40 Russian aircraft have been hit, including strategic bombers Tu-95, Tu-22M3, as well as A-50 aircraft. The enemy's losses already exceed $2 billion. Engels and Morozovsk have been destroyed. And at this very moment, a third airfield, Diaghilevo in Ryazan, is also under attack. Ukrainian UAVs are also attacking Siberia for the first time. Right now, planes are being scrambled from 4 different airfields at once in an attempt to save them from Ukrainian retaliation. And as they say Russians, this is what we call class. Class means having the advantage. It's when our guys can do things that not a single one of your Iranian instructors or Korean special forces can do, no matter how much money you throw at them. Now we'll tell and show you everything that's known. Footage has appeared online showing how, not far from the airfield, Ukrainian FPV drones launch from trucks that had previously arrived at the airfields from Russian territory and immediately fly off to strike Russian strategic aviation. Russia has never seen such a daring attack before.
11. Look at what's happening. I don't even know what just exploded. Another one is coming. Where? 11.
The strikes hit 4 airfields, Belaya, Diaghilevo, Olenia, and Ivanovo. But this is just the beginning. Because the monitors indicate that a new attack by Ukrainian long-range drones is already starting. Most likely, the drones were manufactured by Russians at their own facilities to destroy Ukrainians. It stands to reason that they were also prepared for such a launch by Russians themselves or by deep-cover Ukrainian agents. Just imagine the scale of this operation. How many elements had to come together perfectly? How badly did the SBU manage to humiliate the Russians? Those who took part in the operation literally saved hundreds of ordinary Ukrainian lives. The Olenia airfield in northern Russia and the Belya airfield in the Irkutsk region, 4,500 kilometers from Ukraine, are also ablaze. Locals are in a panic. Dozens of explosions can be heard. The sky is filled with smoke, and the SBU drones are hitting their targets with precision. While the Kremlin remains silent, Putin's army is losing its elite aircraft. What was used every day to bomb Ukrainian cities is now turning into heaps of scrap metal. After the powerful raid, the SBU also tore into the Russians on Telegram. Even Z-bloggers are no longer hiding their panic. A wave of mockery has started in Russian public forums about how Putin might respond. By the way, Russian public channels are posting not only footage of explosions, fires, and panic, but also of dead truck drivers from whose vehicles the launches were carried out. It is likely that they could have been agents of the Ukrainian special services who were strangled after the drone raid. And now, attention! Satellite images of the airfield in the Irkutsk region have appeared, taken literally just yesterday. According to the public channels, a Russian aviation swarm was based there. 7 Tu-160s, 6 Tu-95s, and as many as 39 Tu-22M3s. And that's not all. There were also 2 Il-78Ms, 6 An-26s, 2 An-12s, and 30 MiG-31s. Most likely, as of today, the majority of them have already turned into mere remnants of former luxury. Meanwhile, real hell is unfolding right now in Russia's Severomorsk. The city services submarines equipped with nuclear warheads. And just for the record, this is the main naval base of Russia's northern fleet. Now let's go into more detail. The Olenia airfield in Russia's Murmansk region poses a serious threat to Ukraine because of its role as a base for strategic aviation. The airfield is home to long-range bombers capable of carrying long-range cruise missiles. Despite the airfield's remote location, its aircraft can strike targets anywhere in Ukraine, making it a key element of Russia's military strategy. Russia is deliberately transferring a large number of bombers specifically to Olenia in order to complicate Ukraine's reconnaissance and defense, as well as to minimize the risk of aircraft being hit at airfields closer to the border. Strikes launched from Olenia are often aimed at civilian targets, resulting in casualties and destruction.
Another one is flying. Where?
There it is, under the crack.
Right there, right there.
Be careful not to throw it out, or it'll fall. This is how the Belaya airfield looks right now. Strategic enemy aviation.
Here, Olenogorsk, near the Kuringa River, there's the bridge. And the truck in Olenogorsk is parked at the gas station. The driver arrived, he's running around panicking, drones are flying out from under the tarp from the truck and heading toward Visokoye. The river patrol just caught him there. He says, they told me to come to this spot that someone would meet me. He arrived and the drones started flying out one after another.
At the Ivanovo airfield, A-50 long-range radar reconnaissance aircraft are based, as well as military transport planes like the Il-76 and An-22. These vehicles play a key role in Russia's military operations. The planes serve as airborne command posts, providing reconnaissance, coordination, and control of aviation and troops. They are capable of detecting targets at long distances, which helps Russia plan and carry out missile strikes against Ukraine. The destruction of the A-50 reduces Russia's ability to effectively coordinate attacks, which is critically important for Ukraine's defense. An attack on this airfield complicates the supply and maneuvers of the Russian army, weakening its operational capabilities. The Diaghilevo airfield in the Ryazan region is also one of Russia's key bases. The bombers stationed there are capable of carrying Kh-101 and Kh-22 cruise missiles, which are used to strike Ukrainian cities and energy infrastructure. The airfield is actively used to prepare for massive missile strikes. At the Belaya airfield in the Irkutsk region, bombers and A-50 aircraft are based. The airfield is located about 1,800 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, making it an important but remote hub. Strikes on such facilities force Russia to relocate its aircraft to even more remote bases, complicating logistics and increasing the time needed to prepare for combat missions, as well as raising fuel and maintenance costs. The destruction of aircraft at these airfields would significantly weaken Russia's ability to carry out air attacks and would reduce the number of missile strikes on Ukraine.
Well. There it is. The drone took off again. No idea where it's taking off from. There he is, the clown, damn it. Both of them, out of nowhere, damn it. Both! Unbelievable, damn it. Look how far technology has come. And he's working behind the wheel, damn it.
Yeah.
There, it's still going off. Oh, look, another explosion! There, they hit again. Again! A new one! Was that with a drone? Didn't reach us. A fresh drone just arrived. Look, again. Here. That's it. They're blowing things up. Mom, more drones. Oh. No, they're fresh ones. Lesha, are we gonna get killed? Dick. Not in the residential area, no way. To the airfield. What? Did they already say something about the planes? That's it. They've hit all over Angara. There's still an explosion going on. Oh, look, a new explosion. Again, since morning, drones have been flying toward us. Oh, they're still shooting, yeah.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
Drone explosion and fires reported at strategic locations.
In Russia, drone attacks are being observed more and more frequently, and often they are not being shot down. Drones are encountered both near the front lines and deep in the rear.
Why are they making it through?
Let me explain.
Well, how long have they been making it through already? If we already understand that we have these gaps here, then let's close them.
With what? That's the question. That's the question. How do we close those gaps? We need a sufficient number of systems. The systems are expensive right now.
And Russians have come up with a way to counter such attacks. According to British intelligence, in the Pskov region, not far from the border with Estonia, the local governor has ordered the organization of volunteer patrols to prevent attacks on the military airfield and other strategic sites.
In reality, Russia attempted to address and try to solve the significant problem of lacking sufficient short and medium-range air defense echelons, a severe, even critical shortage of these essential echelons, by creating small, highly mobile units whose main function is to detect and identify aerial objects, such as drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, and so on.
About 800 people have signed up for the units to combat drones, and they plan to divide them into groups and assign them to patrol specific zones.
These units will be elevated to the level of Russia's so-called territorial troops. Right now, this phenomenon of so-called territorial troops is very widespread, and in part, they will even be specifically tasked with intercepting these objects.
But, well, Russian defense is not standing still, and they decided to protect airplanes from those same drones not only with people, but also with car tires. As satellite images of the Engels airbase have shown, 2 Tu-95 strategic bombers are covered with such tires. Whether this will have any effect is still unknown. But as stated by an OSINT research consultant who tracks airplanes and ships, the effectiveness of such measures depends on what kind of warhead the missile or drone is carrying. In other words, the effectiveness here is minimal. And how effective will it be to shoot down UAVs with small arms? And overall, how effective will these units be? Experts are skeptical about this. After all, the problem is not the number of air defense operators and so on, but the systems themselves.
Right now, Russia is facing a serious problem with air defense. While they do have a fairly large number of long-range systems, such as the S-300 and S-400, hundreds of launchers, even with that many, they still do not have the capability to fully close the airspace over Russia at this time. But when it comes to short and medium-range systems, the situation is catastrophic. On top of that, there's also the fight against small-sized targets using electronic warfare systems and so on and so forth. And now, of course, in Russia, they're trying to compensate for the technical shortage, the lack of technical components, with the one resource Russia has always had in abundance: people.
But even with a large number of people, these squads are yet another proof that Russia is specifically lacking qualified personnel for such tasks. If you compare Ukraine's and Russia's ability to shoot down different types of targets, Ukraine comes out ahead in terms of quality, despite the much-hyped Russian air defense.
Even under such acute shortages of air defense systems, the quality on our side is significantly higher. The quality is significantly higher, which is reflected in the fact that the average rate of targets destroyed in Ukraine's airspace ranges from 90 to even 100%. And this depends on the type of target, the number of attacks, whether they happen simultaneously, and so on. In turn, Russia, which has a numerical advantage, we see that it does not have a qualitative advantage. It does not control its own airspace. And for detection, well, you need not only, for example, the SAM systems themselves, as it might seem, but also the appropriate additional devices, extra equipment, such as radars and so on.
And the recent attack on the airfield in Pskov, where 2 Il-76 aircraft were damaged, is proof of that. But, as noted in Britain, most often the drones used to attack Russian airfields deep in the rear are almost certainly launched from within Russia itself. According to experts, this scenario is quite realistic, since most strike UAVs are not capable of flying such long distances.
Well, first of all, there are a huge number of various private military companies operating on the territory of the Russian Federation. One of the most well-known is Wagner. And this company, well, let's put it this way, even back when Yevgeny Prigozhin was still alive, had certain disagreements with the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. Do the Wagner members have the resources, for example, to assemble a commercial-type drone and send it to one of the airfields? Yes, of course. Absolutely. They definitely have that capability. Moreover, Wagner members are not so much trained and effective in conventional military operations as they are in hybrid ones. Hybrid sabotage activities are exactly their area of expertise, and they are quite capable of organizing strikes of this kind.
There are quite a few private military companies in Russia, and most often they are run either by various types of companies, Russian billionaires, or government officials. Putin's policies have long since reached a point where even people who seem to be his own can go against the dictator.
Let's simply imagine an ordinary Russian citizen who is profoundly disappointed with Putin's policies. He can easily order absolutely any type of FPV drone available on any online marketplace, such as Amazon, create some kind of simple yet effective explosive device at home from improvised materials, carefully install this explosive device in the appropriate drop compartment of the FPV drone, and, in principle, use this drone to strike various different targets or objectives. So this is quite realistic.
That's why such volunteer squads often have to defend themselves not only from enemy drones but also from UAVs launched by their own side.
Low-quality bearings have harmed Russia's military transport aviation. The state defense order has failed.
A contract was signed between Aviastar and that's the plant in Ulyanovsk that produces these airplanes, and the Ministry of Defense, stating that they are supposed to deliver 39 aircraft there.
We're talking about the modernization of Soviet heavy Il-76 aircraft, which are directly in service with the Russian aerospace forces.
It transports everything that can be moved for military purposes. It carries Chinese components from China and the Far East to the central part of Russia. It transports components for Iranian drones and the drones themselves. It transports whatever is needed for the production of all missile technology. In other words, it's the main logistical element. They don't have any others.
The Aviastar enterprise, which is actually responsible for modernizing the 40-ton Il-cargo planes, accepted bearings as part of wheels of unknown origin and with forged documents.
As a result of the sanctions, they obviously couldn't find bearings of the required precision class and just shoved in whatever bearings they were able to find. The precision class determines, well, the quality of the bearing's performance and its durability. And the landing gear components where these bearings are installed are under a lot of stress because the aircraft is heavy, carrying 40 tons of cargo, or in some cases, certain modifications can carry up to 60 tons of cargo in specific situations.
As a result, problems arose with the landing gear, and 5 Il-76 aircraft were put out of service.
This is serious damage. It's equivalent to 2 years' worth of production being destroyed.
Additionally, for the Russians, the situation is complicated by the fact that their transport aviation basically has nothing left to fly. Right now, they are squeezing the last remaining service life out of old aircraft.
There used to be the Ruslan as well, but since 2004, production of the Ruslan has been discontinued. The supply of D-18 engines, which were produced by Ukraine's Motor Sich, has been halted, and as a result, all the Ruslans are basically grounded.
Overall, the superpower is facing a truly dead-end situation with its aviation.
There are essentially 3 main directions, and accordingly 3 types of aircraft: tactical aviation.
For example, the Su-34 bombers and Su-35 fighters, which the Russians used to bomb the front line of contact.
Back in 2014-2016, they were able to produce them at a rate of 18 to 20 aircraft per year. Now they produce 2 cars of each type, sometimes a little more, but mostly just 2. This is because Russia cannot assemble or manufacture these planes, since all the components, all the radio electronics, everything is of foreign origin.
In short, Western sanctions are working. Even friendly China is unable to help.
As for their strategic aviation, in fact, they have 50, 60, and 70-year-old Tu-95 MS aircraft, as well as the very complex to operate, very difficult to fly, and extremely demanding Tu-160s. That's basically all that's left of Russian strategic aviation. Production of the Tu-95 has been discontinued since the 1990s. The Tu-160... No. Production was halted.
You could say that this is where the entire story of strategic aviation in the Russian Federation ends.
Technologically, Russia has remained at the level of Soviet-era developments. They haven't brought anything new. The design bureaus that used to exist, Mikoyan, Gurevich, the Yakovlev Bureau, the Tupolev Bureau, none of that exists anymore.
Any attempts at import substitution for aircraft components have yielded no results. Russia is gradually being left without airplanes.
Wherever you look in Russian aviation, whether military or civilian, there's absolutely nothing good, nothing at all promising, and nothing whatsoever on the horizon. There are no prerequisites for any kind of technological breakthrough or for any completely new, unique developments to appear there.